Hello, my name is Rebecca Stromsdorfer. I am a homeschool mother to 5 children and been married for 22 years to my best friend. We have been homeschooling those children for the entire time and now have two adults, one in college, one has just finished her trade, and we have a teenager who is 15 who is hoping to go to college in a year. Dang it. And then we have two more at home. So a 9 and 12-year-old. I love homeschooling. I didn't always. It was something that was more thrown on me, something I didn't have a choice. We were living in an area where homeschooling was the only option. And now we live in a nice area with great schools, and we kept homeschooling because why not? And now with the pandemic and everything going on, I'm so glad we kept homeschooling. So my session here today is about how do you get it all done? And I get this question so much. How do we get it all done? And I want to start, I'm going to give you 5 things you can do to get it all done. Now, the very first one I want to help you with is who gets to decide what all is? You as a family need to define what that is, because if you're just trying to get it all in, you're aiming for an impossible something and you'll never hit it, and you will forever be depressed and feel like a failure. So you've got to, number one, sit down with your spouse, sit down with your kids, depending on how old everybody is, and write down what all is to you. And this is, in my opinion, the most vital part of homeschooling, because if you're just running around trying to get books, and there are books called What a First Grader Needs to Know. That is the worst book in the world. It goes through all through 6 years. That is one way to have a heart attack and a stroke. Don't get those books. They're ridiculous. And if you go by what your state requires, I have to say the states aim way too low. And you don't want to go with their standards either. So decide, why did you homeschool? What do you want your kids to know? Write those things down. Some of the things my husband and I decided, it was spirituality, Bible study was going to be part of our curriculum. We are Christians. This is who we are. We will look at the world from spiritual eyes, all of it, history, science. That's how we're going to do it. So that was one of the things that we decided. Number 2, we decided our children would learn finances. Now, we didn't know much, so we had to do a lot of reading when they were little, and now that they're older, we're still learning with them. But that was a main priority for us. We want our children to understand finances, money, investments, business, entrepreneurship. We want our children to be able to write cursive. To us, it's very important that they learn cursive, because all of our ancient documents are in cursive, and I want my children to read the Constitution in its original form, and I want them to be able to do family history. And you can't do family history if you don't know cursive. So those were some things that we wrote down, must do. We also wanted our children to enjoy history. So we sat down and what does that mean to us? So you have to sit down and decide what all is. Okay, you've got to do that. Then you decide how that's going to work in your family. When are they old enough? You have to remember that a child under the age of 8 is not going to remember most of what you put together anyway. They aren't. We were living in DC, and we were hitting all the fun stuff and all the educational stuff, and we were hitting the East Coast up and down. And then we moved to Utah, and now our kids remember nothing. We did it all before the oldest was 10, and they don't remember a thing, guys, not a thing. So don't pressure yourself to do anything when they're young. Let them play. They need that playtime for their brains. And then when they get older, add that in. So remember, there's a whole lifespan here where you can add things in, and it doesn't have to be done at once. So decide what all means. Write it down. Put it on a family goal sheet. That's what we use here on this family goal sheet. It's like we have a wealth goal, a health goal, love, family, career, spirituality, and knowledge. And we put our goals on here, and we so that we can remember on days when we're like, what are we doing? We can go back to this. We wanted our kids to learn to exercise daily, so we had to do that. We weren't doing that at the time. We are now. But little things like that, you've got to put together and decide as a family, what is it that is all? and let go of what you don't think is important. It's okay. Our kids all got into the schools they wanted without a diploma, without even the SATs, depending on the university. We've never had a problem. So teach what you want to teach your children. Number one, decide what all is. Number two, high expectations, low control. This to me means I expect my children to learn math, but how they learn that is up to them. Some of my kids have chosen books because they liked writing down. And some of my kids have chosen computer programs because it just made more sense in their head. Some of my kids needed kind of a condensed version, just get me through it. And some of them needed a more expanded version because of the way they learned. So they have to learn math, but I expose them to different ways and they get to pick how. And it's the same way with money. They're going to learn how to use money. They're going to learn how to exercise. They're going to learn health and what they can and cannot eat or shouldn't eat. So we set those expectations. They will learn religion. When they're 18, if they want to let it go, that's up to them. But until they're 18 and live in this house, they are going to do those things. So we set high expectations, but then we let them decide how and when. I'll say they have to do 3 or 4 pages of math or whatever, lessons of math a week. If they want to do it all in one day, that's up to them. If they want to do one a day, that's fine. If they want to do it in the afternoon, I don't care. If they want to do it in the morning, that's fine. They get to decide when, as long as it gets done. So that is how we do it. If they don't get it done, they don't get their privileges, period. Here's your list, get it done, or you don't get privileges. That's just, and so they learn to get the things they don't like so that they can have what they want. And that's a beautiful lesson to teach a child. So, so high expectations, low control. Number 3, you know the story of give a man a fish and you feed him for a day. Teach a man to fish and he eats for a lifetime. Homeschooling is about teaching a man to fish. My children, or public schools, give a man a fish. Learn it, learn it, learn it. You're done. I'll tell you how to do it. Homeschooling gets to teach a man to fish. In other words, I teach my children how to learn. So if they come to me with a question that I don't know the answer to, or maybe I do, I will say, hey, where can we look that up? Where can you look that up? Now, if they're little, I'm not putting them on YouTube, right? All of our computers are in one room. I can see there, I actually have them right here along the wall here. I've got all my kids. I've got 3 computers here so they can all work their stuff and I can see all the screens at all times. So we're very careful about the computers, but I have taught them, where can you go to look that up? Is YouTube a good source for that? Or should you be going to the dictionary or a thesaurus or the books that we have or to a professional? So we don't teach them, we don't give them answers, and we don't we just show them where to find. So their curious minds, they start out with these questions and we start going, that's a great idea. Let's go look that up, even if we know. Why? Because we're teaching them how to teach themselves. And then we'll go into a YouTube and we'll look up YouTube and my kids will come to me and say, Mom, I want to learn this on YouTube. Can you go in and find those videos for me? Yes. So I go in, I'll type it in. I'll go, okay, you can watch these and make sure it's all working. So teach your children how to find the information they want, the library, make sure they know all the sections of the library, and teach them. Now, here's the, this is number 4 actually, is don't panic. You will have holes. That's just part of it. Public school has a billion holes. You're only going to have a million. So don't panic. And here's when I really learned this lesson. It was actually a year ago. My daughter came to me, she's 20, and she said, Mom, why didn't you teach me about Hitler and what he did in the Jews? And I said, I tried. You cried every time. And my children were so sensitive, especially this one. And I would try and teach them certain wars. And I tried to do it from a hero standpoint, the people who came in and did great things, like the people who tried to save Jews. And I tried to do it from that point of view so that they wouldn't be like horrified. And it just never worked. So I figured, you know what, when your brain is ready, you'll study it. So I didn't teach them about that yet. And she came to me and said, why didn't you teach me? And I said, sweetheart, are you ready to learn now? Well, yeah, I already looked it up. I went in and studied this and I can't believe you didn't teach me. And I said, no. I taught you how to look it up. I taught you how to find the information you want. Go at it. And now she's studying all these wars and how did these men become these evil men get leadership. And she's 20 years old and she's doing this out of pure interest. So don't panic. They have a lifetime to learn the things that you can't do. There's a lot of science that we never got to. Your family just focuses in certain areas and that's okay. So you are giving a man a fish. You're not giving a man a fish. You're teaching them to fish. So it's most important to just teach them to love learning, that it's a process, that it's beautiful. It's who we are. It's what we do. And they will fill in the holes themselves as adults. They have 80 years to do it. And number 5, actually, I already said it. You will have holes. Just accept that. What I have realized is that I am a praying woman. I have gone to the Lord many times saying, this child won't learn math. I don't know what to do. And I'll get an idea. You're using the wrong curriculum. Find a different way for him. And I will look for a different way. And then all of a sudden, boom, the light went on for him. I pray and pray. The Lord cares what your child is learning. He cares how they're learning it. He understands their brain and he will speak to you clearly. I have found that revelation from God is clear when it comes for my children. When I'm asking for my kids and they're learning and they need help, it's harder for me to get for myself because I'm older now and I think he expects me to work harder. But my children, he's always answered very, very, very clearly and quickly. So the Lord will fill in the holes. Don't worry. He will fill in the holes. There were a lot of days where all we did was snuggle and all we did was take care of sick kids. And there were months where all we did was take care of sick kids, but they were learning compassion and empathy, health. They were learning how to take care of someone who was sick. They were learning what to do when someone had a fever. They were learning how to take care of others. Those moments did not go wasted. Those moments taught them great things. So even in the darkest moments, even when it looks like nobody's learning anything, God is teaching them and he's got their little brains working. Why? Because your house has an atmosphere of learning, because you are a family who worships, and because he is involved and he will fill in the holes. So number 1, just a quick recap. Number 1, decide what all means to you and your family. How do you get it all done? I don't know. What is all? Make sure you define that. Number 2, high expectations, low control. Expect this. Let them decide how they get there. You can work with them on it, but let them be the guide. Number 3, don't give a man a fish. Teach him to fish. Teach your children how to find answers, not the answers. If you'll teach your children how to find answers, that's really all they need. Number 4, don't panic. Your children have a lifetime of learning ahead of them. It will be fine. And number 5, you'll have holes. It's okay. Everyone has holes. But when you know how to learn and you love learning, those holes get filled very quickly. And the Lord loves your children more than you do. Go to him with all of your questions and he will help you to decide what it is that your child needs. I hope this has helped. If you'd like to have more conversation with us, we're over at myhomeschoolvillage.com, where we discuss this type of thing, both in homeschooling, mothering, parenting, marriage. Check out our other videos. There's one on how to be a homeschool mom and ADHD, and keeping your marriage first in homeschooling. So glad you joined me today. I hope you got something out of this like I did, and we will see you guys hopefully over there. Have a good one.